Good morning and welcome to Trent Hills Today. It's Wednesday, March the 21st. So, are you feeling springy? We've had some lovely weather. The sun's been shining. The wind's been a bit cold, but you know what? We are now officially in spring, so this can only mean good things going forward. We didn't have much of a chance to get to talk about things going on in our community because we had that superstar Lucy. Wasn't she just a charmer? She was as good, by the way, as she appeared to be on camera. We just got her up onto the chair and she just sat there. She knew she was going to be on camera, and she was just wonderful. So today is all about getting caught up on some of the things that we haven't been able to talk about because we wanted to spend time with Lucy and Carol and talk about how important therapy dogs are. One of the questions that I didn't get a chance to ask Carol was the difference between therapy and service dogs. And most of us would know that a therapy dog was, as Lucy was identified, and that is someone who goes in and allows people to pet her and find comfort in her presence. Service dogs, on the other hand, are used by a variety of people. We've seen the shows about epilepsy, PTSD, people who are blind, and people who have other challenges. And service dogs certainly do the same thing that Lucy does, in that it calms people, but they also do even more than that. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. I thought it was really a nice little switch up. But one of the things that we want to do here on Trent Hills Today is to talk about what's going on in our community. I feel a little bit like Sesame Street. We have to know who the people in our neighborhood are, but we also need to understand what's going on in our community, and that's why we're here. So I had an interesting experience on Monday night. I went to Hastings to hear about food sustainability and farming sustainability, and it was so interesting. And I just happened to find out about it. Hastings has Hastings Harvest, which talks about food, and they have this wonderful brochure. And I know it's not about Trent Hills, and this is supposed to be about Trent Hills, but this is a really interesting concept. And what caught my attention was the fact that they were talking about farming. And one of the things that they talked about, and this is not the first time I'd heard it, was the level of mental illness, or I don't want to say illness, but there are a great number of farmers who are suffering from mental illness, probably depression. Farming has not been easy, and we have been farming for hundreds of years, and yet the farmers today face such an enormous challenge. Land prices are going up, feed prices are going up, they're being squeezed to reduce their prices. And so I thought about them yesterday, and I thought, they're surrounded by animals all the time, but they're not therapy dogs, and I don't know that farmers take the time to sit and stroke a dog and feel really relaxed. And one of the things they talked about were farm markets, and how important they are to a community, and how important they are to having food grow in our community and staying in our community. And some of the options that they put out there were just amazing. We had a speaker from the United States, and he was really good, because there's nothing that I dislike more than someone who comes up and goes, "Oh, we in the United States," or "we in whatever country," or whatever, where they're from, say, as if we here in Canada don't know what we're doing. But this gentleman was well informed. He was very respectful of our community. He had good facts about Hastings in particular, because that's where he was working. But it was really, really interesting to me to hear a detail that Omafra had collected, and that was that they could have 61 more potato farmers in the community. And then, of course, some farmer put up his hand and he said, "Well, yeah, but I'm going to sell my potatoes for $5 for a little bushel, and they can go to a grocery store and get a 10 pound for $2.99 on sale." And yes, in some of the rural communities, it's a very tight situation. You've got farmers who are struggling to make ends meet. You have people who are living in rural communities that don't have a lot of money. Some are retired farmers who don't have, you know, RSPs to keep them in the lap of luxury. But some of the options that they talked about was having one of the local grocery stores provide a little area where they could sell their product sort of all year round. But of course in Canada we don't grow everything all year round. So I thought that was really, really interesting, and I hope we can bring that conversation to Trent Hills, because I know we have a farmers market in Campbellford, and I know that Hastings is starting a community garden. But we shouldn't be doing these in silos. We should be talking to each other. I know that tomorrow in Hastings there's going to be an event called Farmers Under 40, and actually, I'm sorry, it's today on Wednesday. And, you know, it sounds like they're talking about exactly the same things, and it's too bad that the people in Hastings didn't know about the people in the county of Hastings, so that they could have all talked together or maybe shared the cost of having a speaker come. But you know what, slowly we're going to start pulling together, and we'll benefit from things much more. I hope you like my purple tulips. I got them at the grocery store. I love tulips. I grow tulips, and I will be selling tulips this year. Purple is my favorite color, and I just thought as a celebration of spring, we should have them here. But one of the things that I found interesting, and that will be my little segue into what happened at council, is for me to sell tulips such as these at the end of my driveway. My insurance company wants me to pay somewhere between $600 and $800 for the privilege of having you come and buy fresh cut tulips. I said to my insurance agent, are you kidding me? Do you know how many tulips I would have? If every tulip that I grew came up and I got the price I wanted for them, I might just cover my insurance. And he said, well, then take them out somewhere and sell them to somebody else. But then you say, well, who else? You know, if you go down to a market, you have to, unless you have a lot of product, markets want you to pay for a stall, and I understand that. I'm not asking for any free ride. But it's all about everybody wants a piece of the pie. So, you know, I can fully understand how farmers are feeling really pinched, because, you know, it's hard to put all your labor into a product. I have to import, I can't tell you how much soil I've had to bring into this area to plant some tulips. But the insurance is really a handicap. And if you remember in the conversation that we had with Lucy and Carol, she said one of the things that they have to fundraise for is the insurance to cover all the people who go into the various services who bring these dogs in. It's not enough, obviously, that we donate our time, that we bring our dogs, that we learn the training, that we're there to help our community. No. We have to give a little bit more to the insurance companies. And I'm not ragging on the insurance companies. I know it sounds like I am, and yeah, I guess I am. But one of the things that came to my attention, and I have mentioned to a couple of people, is I mentioned a while ago that they're doing a service delivery review of all the services in Campbellford. And one of the things that the municipality does provide is insurance. So if you're doing a festival, or if you're doing a run, or if you're doing a market, I assume, I don't know if the market has their own insurance, you can go to the municipality, fill out a form, and I gather you get a rider or a waiver, and you are covered under an insurance policy through the municipality. But at one of the council meetings, they said they didn't want to do that anymore because they don't really make any money on it, and somebody at the front desk has to fill out that form. So the question then becomes, do we, as residents of Trent Hills, feel that that is something that our municipality should offer us? At council meeting yesterday, Lynn Phillips, who is the CAO, said that although the service review was up on the website, she had no complaints or any negative feedback about the the review. And in fact, people phoned with a few questions, but there was nothing negative. Well, that's great. But I don't know how many people read this. I had asked you to go to the website and try and read it, but it doesn't seem that too many people have apparently done that. But I did go to council, and I wanted to bring these things to your attention. So the first thing that they talked about, we had a presentation from the county, and this is the strategic and financial plan for Northumberland. Trent Hills was in here. They talked about a couple of things, and the one thing that they did talk about was the fire hall that is going to be built on the former site of the giant Tagger. Really, other than that, there wasn't a lot that related to us. There was a lot of positive feedback. They use a lot of graphics, which is nice, instead of having somebody stand up there and read and read and read. And then, of course, we got the financial highlights and the budget overview, if you want to sit and figure that all out, which I'll do at some point, but not today. As a follow-up to the fire hall discussion, the fire chief did make a number of presentations to the council, and our firefighters, who do an amazing job, and we are so very grateful to have them in our communities. We have three volunteer groups in each of our communities, and all of them have been trained on naloxone. Now, if you don't know, or if that sounds familiar, it's the drugs that are given to people who are overdosing on opioids. So all of our firefighters apparently have had the training. So I think that's amazing. Again, when you look at our community, our little rural community, that we have firefighters that are trained to the standards of those in Toronto, you've got to say yay. We're doing, we're really, really lucky. We also have also recently purchased, or in the process of purchasing, new oxygen masks, or they're not quite oxygen masks the way you think of them, but we're going to be getting new ones that are lighter, they contain more air, and they'll last longer, which is great too, because you don't want anybody being negatively impacted when they're at a fire scene. So that was more or less what they were talking about at council. There are going to be 3 new hires. There's a lot of new residential buildings going up in the community, and people are a little bit anxious. These subdivisions obviously take up quite a bit of the time for the planners and stuff, so we will be getting 3 new hires for that. I don't know, it's not for me to say, that we need to hire permanent people, because I think we're experiencing a bit of a surge or a rush. I'm sure there are some people who would be willing to work on contract. I'm just looking at, the cost of bringing 3 more people online. We've got the fire hall that's being built. We've got the water tower that we're working, that's going to need work after they finish the water pump. So we seem to be spending a lot of money, and I think a lot of people are concerned about where all that money is going to come from. I'm sure once the budget is finalized and is sent out to us, we will know more what we're going to do. One of the things they did say is that the overall Northumberland budget did fall a little bit short, and the majority of the money does go to roads, streets, that kind of repair. And of course, every time you put in a subdivision, we have to put in new roads. And years ago, when I did the research on that in my other community, I was told that it costs $100,000 per kilometer for a road. I don't know if that price has gone up or down, and maybe it's not the same, because I know that the road that I have in front of me is perfectly fine. I live in the country, but it's not what I would call an asphalt road. So again, there's some concern, I guess, about all the maintenance that we have to do to our roads and our bridges. And the other great thing that they're working on is a retirement community in Coburg. So that's sort of a quick overview of what went on in council and what I've been up to and what's going on in our community. Tonight, being Wednesday, I'll be going down to Northumberland to sit in on the council meeting there. They're going to be talking about something that I think you really need to be interested in, and that's absentee landlords who allow their retail space to remain vacant because they get a tax rebate. We have spent thousands of dollars on downtown revitalizations. We're working hard to make our communities look gorgeous, and then we have all these empty storefronts. So the county is going to be discussing that, and I'm hopeful that we will agree, as many other communities have done, that we will repeal that opportunity and that we will finally get some people moving into some of the storefronts that we have here in our gorgeous community. So that's it. I know it wasn't as exciting or interesting as having Lucy here as my guest, but I did bring you some flowers, and I'm looking forward to our next meeting. I hope you're going to enjoy my next guest. I'm going to keep it a surprise for you, so you have to tune in. And until then, thanks a lot. Take care and have a great day.